Hi, it's Dr. Post, and this is part 5 of the Math 980 final exam review. I'm going to go over the hard questions. 4 of the questions I felt would be categorized as hard, for various reasons, as we'll see. Okay, so I'm looking at question 14. It says find the volume and surface area of a sphere of radius 11 inches. So my radius is 11. And they want me to use pi, which is 3.14. And the first one they want me to find is the volume. And they give me the formula, volume equals 4/3 pi r to the third. 4/3 pi r cubed. So you can put 11 in for r, 3.14 in for pi. So this would look like this, 4/3 times 3.14 times 11 to the third power. Once you've got that, you can just type it into your calculator that way. So I've got 4 fraction 3, parenthesis 3.14, parenthesis 11, parenthesis raised to the third power. And I get 5572.5 because I want it to 1 decimal. So notice I didn't use my pi button, and the reason is because the pi button is the real pi, 3.1415. It's a bigger number because it doesn't truncate it at 2 digits after the decimal. So if they want me to use 3.14, then I need to use 3.14. Otherwise, my number will be slightly off. So that's the volume. Part 2 of this, they want me to do the surface area. And they tell me that formula is S, which stands for surface area, is 4 pi r squared. So same deal, I'm going to replace pi with 3.14, r with 11 squared, and again I can do this on my calculator. 4 parenthesis 3.14, close parenthesis, open new one, 11 squared. And I get 1519.8. if I round it. So this is a volume. Notice that the power was r to the third power, so this is going to be inches cubed. Those powers will match. This is an area, surface area. Notice the highest power is 2, and so this is going to be inches squared. So yeah, I think that's kind of hard. All right, let's go to question 39. And we've got use the quadratic formula to solve the equation. And these are lengthy, and there's a lot of detail. It's easy to make a simple mistake. So I would save this question for last on the test. I get all the other questions done first and save these hard ones till the end, because they're time consuming, and even if you really know what you're doing, there's a bigger chance of making a small mistake than some of those other questions that we've done. So this is my equation. So I'm going to identify my A is 5, my B is 6, my C is 1. And quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And this formula should be on your formula sheet. So let me begin. My b is a 6, so I'm going to have negative 6 plus or minus square root 6 squared minus 4. A is 5, c is 1, all over 2 times 5. And then I would just start on the inside here. So that's a negative 6 plus or minus 6 squared is 36 minus 20, all over 2 times 5 is 10. So negative 6 plus or minus 36 minus 20 is 16. That's nice because that's a perfect root. Square root of 16 is 4. If you didn't know that, you could put it on your calculator. Okay, and this plus or minus means we have 2 different answers. So we have negative 6 plus 4 divided by 10, or negative 6 minus 4 divided by 10. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2 over 10, which simplifies to negative 1/5. You could put that in your calculator as a fraction to simplify it if you need to. And this is negative 10 over 10, which simplifies to negative 1. I know you can't quite see that. There you go. Okay. So that's a long question. How would I write this in my answer space? I would write it like negative 1/5, comma, negative 1, because I have two answers split with a comma, no spacing, very technical. And that's why it's problematic. But remember, this is worth the same amount as one of those questions where all you gotta do is look at the picture and decide if it's a function. So do all those easy ones first and get the maximum points. Then you can sit back and take your time on these harder ones and hopefully not stress as much. All right, so I'm gonna go to number 46. 46 was a full-up variation question. And I'm not gonna write the steps out, but I will discuss them as I'm working through this question. So it says the weight W of an aluminum flatboat varies directly with the length L of the boat. So that first sentence gives me the translation. So mathematically speaking, it's the weight W varies directly equals K with the length L. So directly means I'm going to be directly next to the K. So that's step one. Step two, they're going to give me two temporary values for W and L so that I could solve for K. A 9-foot boat, well, that's a length, so that's a 9, weighs 153 pounds. So there are my two temporary values. How would I get K? I would divide by 9, divide by 9. So 153 divided by 9 is 17. So I just discovered that K is 17. So that's step two. This was step one. This was step two. Step three, I'm gonna put 17 where the K was so that I actually have a working formula. So I get W equals 17L. So this is step three. And now I'm ready to answer the question, which says, what is the weight of a 10-foot boat? So if my boat is 10, then my weight must be 170. And that's it. And the last question is number 50. And this one is, I think, the hardest of the whole thing. And you'll see why in a second. So it gives me f of x equals x squared. F of x equals x squared minus 3x minus 9. And it says find the input values that make the function 0. In other words, they want me to make the function 0. So all that did was bring me back to the proper format for the quadratic formula. So what's the quadratic formula? Negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. What's my a? My a is 1. My b is negative 3. My c is negative 9. So I get negative 3 plus or minus square root negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 9 all over 2 times 1. Negative 3 is a positive 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. A negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 1 times 9 is 36. So that's in my square root. 2 times 1 is 2. 36 plus 9 is 45. So I get 3 plus or minus the square root of 45 over 2. And this is where the problem lies, because 45 is not a perfect root. So in my calculator, I would do 3 plus the square root of 45, get an answer, and then divide that by 2. So if I go 3 plus the square root of 45 equals, divided by 2 equals, rounded to the nearest thousandth, I'm going to get 4.854. And then my second one would be 3 minus the square root of 45 divided by 2. So I could just go back up with my arrow key and change this to a minus, equals, divided by 2. And I get negative 1.854. So typically, these last 3 digits will be the same. So that's kind of one way that you can see if you are even close to the right answer. So I would type in 4.854, comma, negative 1.854. And that's it. So good luck with that. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you later.